The most important person in my life must be my wife. If she's not ministered to, if she's not cared for, I have no right to minister in the name of Christ. I was preaching in this church out in Austin one time, and I came down, my first sermon, I came down out of the pulpit, and a big committee of people came up and said, "You need to be our next pastor." And I looked at him and I said, "Are you out of your cotton-picking mind?" And one of them said, "Why'd you say that?" I said, "You don't know if I love my wife. How can you call me to be a pastor? You don't know if I love my wife. You don't know if any of the requirements found in 1 Timothy chapter 3, if I fulfill any of them. I speak well, so does the devil." So you see, the first thing, let me put it this way, it's a very grotesque illustration, but it's the best one I can find. I love my 3 kids. Oh my gosh, it's hard. I have to beware of idolatry. I love them. But if my wife and me and those 3 kids are in a boat and I'm the only one who can swim and I can only save one person in that boat, I'm saving my wife. You say, "Well, I've never." Probably not, but there's a lot of truth you've never heard. The greatest thing I can do for those 2 boys of mine and that little girl, it happens to be one of the most beautiful human beings on the face of the earth and maybe all time. The best thing I could ever do for them is to love their mother hard and long. Because they're going to look up and they're going to go, "We may not have security anywhere, but there's security here. Dad's not going anywhere. Dad loves this woman." That's it. When my little boys get old enough, they're going to get a lecture. And if any of you are in family services, you'll probably report me, but this is the way it's going to be. I'll sit down with both those boys and I'll say this: the closest I will ever come to murdering another human being is the day either one of you touch your mother. She's the most sacred thing on the face of this earth. Guess what? Those boys will learn how to treat a woman, won't they? Do you see? So now you know why I preach in a lot of Baptist churches once. Think about it though. It's the same way with my wife. You know why you hear this? Oh, I love to preach this on Mother's Day. I really do. This is my favorite. You think about the mother's love. There's nothing like a mother's love. That's not biblical. The Bible says there's nothing like a father's love. It doesn't say anything about mother's love. Now I'm going to say something, and really, now my wife probably fight better than any of you women here, and I can take her down. If she doesn't tickle me, I can take her down pretty quick. So if you're thinking about woman, you think about coming out of that pew right now and walking up this aisle and fighting me, you better have another thing coming. Because I might not win the fight, but all the people in this county are going to say they've never seen nothing like that before. Now listen to me. One of the reasons why women talk so much about a mother's love is because they're being parasitic. I know this is hard, but I want you to listen to me. They're being parasitic. Because their husbands are not loving them and giving them what they need from their husbands, they're drawing what they should be getting from their husbands from their children. But children were never called to meet the emotional needs of their mother or their father. And children do not exist for their parents. Men, when you do not love your wife as you ought to, you throw everything in the family totally out of whack. The greatest love, it should not be a mother's love. It should be a wife's love for her husband. And guess what's going to happen? If I treat my wife that way, and my little girl, she's regenerate or something, and she has 18, 19 years of looking at the way her father honors her mother, and then some snotty-nosed, stupid 18-year-old boy who doesn't even know how to pull his pants up walks up and tries to do something like this, she's going to look, she's going to puke on his shoes. She's going to go, "You've got to be kidding me. If a man-eating lion was loose in this room, he'd starve to death, because you definitely don't qualify, boy." You know, I You know, I know I'm getting kind of just too secular sounding and not very Puritan, but listen to me. And then when my boys look at a girl, they're going to look and say, you got to be careful that's a girl. I mean, that's a girl. That's different than a boy or a pig or a dog. You see? And so when one mate drops the ball in this, the other mate should not look at this as, oh, I've been given this horrible lot in life. No, you've been given a special opportunity to glorify God in a way that maybe some other woman hasn't been given. And God is a merciful God. And remember that illustration about the top of the thing. If you're doing all the fighting, I use an illustration that says, give place to the wrath of God. I have a sermon to women on how to act if you want God to kill your husband. And it's a very good sermon. I really like it. It's one of my favorite ones to preach. All the women start whipping out notebooks, laptops, everything, trying to get all this. But how to live in such a way so that God will kill your husband. And what it means is, in Romans, he says, give place to the wrath of God. Well, I love castles. When I'm over in Europe, if I can get to see a castle, I love to see castles. And it's an amazing thing. A castle on the bottom floor has this huge door. I mean, 20 soldiers walking abreast can walk into that castle. What's amazing, you go up to the second floor, and most of the stairwells on the real castle, the second floor, they're only this wide. And they go up, and there's only one door about this tall and about this wide. Well, they're kind of short, about this tall and about this wide. And you're sitting, that doesn't make any sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. You see, if the castle is overrun, then everybody in the castle runs up to the second floor. Now let's say that there's 400 soldiers out there, and there's only 20 soldiers on the second floor. There's 400 enemy out there. Well, when they come in through that front gate, there's no way that 20 soldiers can stop 400. But those 20 soldiers and all the people in that castle run up to the second floor. One man can stand there with a long spear and defend the entire castle from 400 soldiers, because they can only run up there one at a time. Now let's say that the enemy soldiers break in, everybody runs to the second floor, and there's one guy standing up there with a spear. And the fastest enemy soldier runs up the stairs first. Now, being fast, he's a little scrawny guy. He can run like the wind, but he can't fight worth anything. So he runs up there first, and he's battling like for hours trying to beat this guy. And all these other big soldiers are behind him. And they're like, and the skinny guy's fighting. He's going, man, I'm getting tired. I can't beat this guy. I don't know what to do. And the big soldier's saying, get out of the way. Man, you don't understand. This guy can't do anything with him. He just won't get out of the way, and I don't know what to do, and it's just ruining it. Get out of the way. Only one of us can be up there at a time. So, woman, you've got this terrible husband, and he's taken the second floor of that castle. He's a smart man in doing it. And you're going to attack his castle. You're going to dethrone him. He's just holding you off all day long. And you're just going, my husband is such a wicked. And you go to prayer meetings and tell everybody how wicked he is. And you do all these things. And you're just telling people and you're fighting. And then you're complaining, God, why don't you help me with my husband? God's going, get out of the way. Give place to the wrath of God. Get out of the way. Get out. God, I don't understand why you won't help me. Get out of the way. Husband, the worst day in your life is when she gets out of the way. When she gets out of the way, you are in trouble.